Okay, welcome. Whether you are watching live or the recording, this is the Facebook group we call Fulfilled Working Moms. I am your host, Charlotte Friborg, and I am also the coach for moms who are re-entering the workforce and want to let go of guilt, make money in a meaningful way, and have more time for yourself and your family. And in this group, we talk and teach and inspire on a lot of different topics we as moms like to know about to help us to create and have a fulfilled life while we also make money. And today I have a very special guest and a friend of mine, and we will talk about how we can empower our teens. So maybe you don't have a teen yet, but just wait. They will grow up fast. So you might want to listen to this conversation. So let me first introduce my friend. This is Emma G, and she is a songwriter who uses her music and media presence to spread messages of radical love, compassion, strength, truth, and healing as she has expanded her music business to position herself as a speaker and youth empowerment coach. Actually, I know she is sitting in a train right now. She's on her way home. She's been in New York on her way back to Washington, and she was speaking at an event yesterday about brain health and science. And she's also using her music and songwriting as a tool to help teenagers identify, understand, and overcome their own struggles, trauma, anxiety, and stress. So important. And that's what we'll talk about today. So, Emma G, welcome. I'm so glad to join me here. And just
your full introduction, I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm looking forward. I always look forward to these conversations. So we met first time. Let me just share a little bit how we got to meet each other at the castle through Dr. Angela Lauria, when I had just finished my first manuscript, and you came there to sing for us. And then we've met on several occasions, but I also remember the very first day in year 2020 when we met up in Washington, D.C. again. And it was Angela who gathered with Marianne Williamson when she was still running for presidency. And you had been up that night. That night, you wrote a song for Marianne. So you really can write songs. I've seen that. So if you don't follow Emma G, do that. She's so inspiring. But let's dive into this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You always touch me with your voice and your song. So tell us about why you find that songwriting and music is so beneficial for the healing of teenagers' trauma, overwhelm, stress, and anxiety.
Question. For me, what I've found, we live in an age where we are taught to be strong, silent, together all the time, right? In New Zealand, where I grew up, we have a culture that's very much like harden up. Do not express emotion, do not express any feeling. You know, if things are hard, just get over it, deal with it, smile, grin and bear it. The thing about, but that obviously results in a lot of people holding things inside and not allowing themselves to go to therapy or to actually express trauma that they've experienced or they're experiencing or whatever. The thing about music, it's almost like a security blanket meets a superhero cape, because not only does it sort of give people permission to feel safe because they're able to, hide behind this mask of I'm communicating, but I'm actually just singing for you, right? Like it's a little bit of a mind trick. But also being able to use this as a superhero cape, because you're able to do so much with music. If you think back to when you were a teenager, as a young adult, whatever, we always remember the songs, right, that most impacted us. And so to combine the security blanket of vulnerability, to then be able to combine it with, okay, the theme songs that I clung to as a teenager are actually the songs that I wrote, and the songs that continue to feed my soul and my health and my mental well-being. That's a powerful combination. Songwriting has served me my entire life. I was born singing because my entire existence was birthed through trauma, having had my first brain surgery at 4 months. And so songwriting just became this thing of like, this is my voice. This is how I know I can express myself without feeling too vulnerable and without being judged too much, right? So it's, because I know that it served me. I have a history with working with young people through my own teaching practices, but also through teaching with the YMCA and teaching at universities in New Zealand. It's been 10, 15 years in the making, but I've realized actually this is what we need to be doing and focusing on, is feeding that inner creative magic that young people have in them, and utilize that to feed their intellectual health, but their mental health and spiritual health and emotional health at the same time.
I love it. So I just want to say that you fall out a little bit. But I decided let's just continue the conversation, and if we feel, we can always do this again. But I just want to do this now and then. But there are a few words here and there that are like, they're just disappearing because the connection on the train, I guess. But it's fine. I pick up the essence of what you say, but we can always do this again. But I don't want to look so much forward to this time. So let's just continue.
I'm so sorry, that was poor planning on my part.
No, it's fine. I like to show everybody that we can do this in an imperfect way, and there's still a connection. So that's why I want to do this. But I also want, if anybody wants to hear even more, we'll talk about it. I want to ask you, so first of all, I first thought, do you find that this, do you see any, like, are more girls or boys attracted to this? Or what is I was thinking about that. No. Yeah. You see
No.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important thing to pick up on, because we do live in a world where we expect our young women to be the emotional ones.
Mm-hmm.
And we expect them to be more in touch with their feelings. There is a huge need to support emotional well-being in our young men.
Yeah.
That's how we grow and develop happy, healthy young men.
Yeah. And I think that's because, especially for teenagers, and I think especially for boys, there's really a deep need for them to connect emotionally. And that's not what they find cool in general. So I can see how this can be a safe space for them to express their feelings. But how would you, so if there's a mom sitting there and she's thinking, oh, this might help my teen, maybe they have never played an instrument before, or maybe they have never even expressed a desire to sing or anything, do you have any suggestions how this mom can approach her teenager to suggest this as a tool?
I just want to go back to your previous thought about boys, and not, maybe not wanting to sing their truth. This is the beautiful thing about music, is that songwriting isn't just writing a pop song. It's not just writing a country song. It's not just writing a rock song. it's a hip hop song, it's a rap song, it's a metal song. Like, it can be whatever you want it to be. And because I my musical history is very diverse, I'm very big on empowering young people to step into whatever genre they want to, whatever feels so safe, comfortable, and empowering for them, right? When it comes to mothers, however, trying to figure out how to talk to their young people about this journey, especially if they are not musically inclined, I think, every kid listens to music. So it's not that they're not musically inclined, it's that they've never been told that they can do it. And, keeping in mind that our education system is based still, and still based on 18th century teaching practices built for 18th century jobs. We live in an age now where anything is possible. Young people are making money on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild. Everything, like, the world has changed so quickly. Yeah. So it's about recognizing that the ways in which songwriting can help our young people are beyond just making them into pop singers. It's about, just enabling them to be like, oh, I made this. Oh, I can write this song for my friend's band at school. Or I can, heaven forbid, record my own album. Or, not heaven forbid, that's also, one of my very first clients, Sydney Witt, recorded an 8-track album, and she never sang in her life. There's so much, we get taught creativity out of us. And there's so much growth and development that happens both personally and intellectually, academically. That creativity just helps to, present to us and give us and feed us and what's foster in us.
Yeah, I love it. I want to ask you if you will share maybe a moment in your own life when you realized that this music creation shifted something in you. If you could share like a personal experience. I mean, I'm sure there have been many moments, and there's still, like, you sit down and write a song with them, but when you really realize that, whoa, there's something here. Maybe that was the moment when you decided you wanted to be a youth empowerment coach. Like, but what was your own experience when, like, do you have a moment or experience you could share about where you just experienced, like, oh, there's something here?
That's a difficult question, because I feel like every single time I've written a song, it served me. However, I mean, I started writing music when I was 5. I recorded my first song demo when I was 9, and released and recorded my very first song on an album that was nationally released when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
So music has been like part of my blood forever. And it's always been like my voice to try and understand what was going on around me, figure out what's going on inside me, and put words to feelings that I was not able to communicate with my mother or my community or whatever. I mentioned before, I've had brain surgery, and so, like, even just talking about that in music has been really therapeutic and beneficial for me. I think the most impactful, most recent example that I can think of would be, so I wrote a song a day through the month of February earlier this year, and in that time, I found myself writing about experiences from when I was a child, experiences from, brain surgery, through to abuse, through to figuring out what it's, body positivity and reclaiming my identity as a woman and person of color, learning about that, because New Zealand and America treat people of color very differently. So I think that was really beneficial. But honestly, it's every time I've read back or listened to lyrics that I've written as a teenager. Because in retrospect, when I look back at them, I can recognize that's what I was going through. Writing this song helped me significantly. And oh my goodness, now in 2021, as I listen to the same songs, it's still helping me. There are aspects to my lyrics that I wrote when I was 15, 16 years old. In fact, one of my songs I released it last year on my my album, You Can't Save You For Yourself. I wrote that in 2004. That was a long time ago, but even I decided to record it myself this year and released it last year. And as I'm reading, the reason for that is because even though that song was written when I was a teenager, now, present day, I'm listening to those lyrics and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I thought I was writing to somebody else. I'm actually writing to myself, but I need to save my own self. I need to take control of my life. I need to, the song served me as a teenager and it continues to serve me now as an adult who's now able to take my teaching practices and, empower other young people.
Yeah, I love that. So do you have any suggestions for parents? Again, it's a little bit back to what we talked about before, but parents who may think like, let me just say, so when parents come to you, what else might they have tried before to help their teens?
Therapy.
Yeah.
And I do not want to replace therapy. Therapy is really, really beneficial in a lot of ways. I have done a couple of counselling papers, but I'm not, I don't have a master's in therapy. So I want to be very clear about that. What Empowerment Through Songwriting does is it enables young people to couple their experiences with therapy to something more tangible. Given that we do live in 2021, given that Generation Z is very different to millennials, they're very different to Generation X, very different to the baby boomers age, the way in which we teach our children needs to change. The way in which we emotionally support our children needs to change. And it's not an and or, it's a yes and.
Yeah.
So therapy alongside something like Empowerment Through Music gives young people the tools to take what they've learned in therapy and apply it in an anthem that they've written themselves, that is a combination of their learning, their growth, their meditations, whatever it is. And so that the lessons that they learn from the therapy and the lessons that they learn from their conversations with me is able to be written on paper and is backed up by being able to sing it. It's stimulating both the left, right, and frontal cortex of the brain so that it's not just speaking and listening. They're actually able to act and live in the state that they want to be living in. Right. In fact, I was having a conversation with one of my, one of the people yesterday at a speakeasy at the mastermind, and he was saying that English language is one of the only languages that focuses on the past, present, and future. If you look at Spanish and German languages, they're very much a case of speaking in the future tense. So songwriting is beautiful for that because it allows a young person to speak into existence, sing into existence the future tense that they want to be existing in. Does that make sense?
So wait a moment. So you say, so he's talked about the languages. This is interesting. I never thought about that before. So depending on what language you speak, that's some research that has been done, that certain languages like focus more on like, the past.
So it's like saying, you know, I went to the market.
Yeah.
I will go to the market, or I'm going to the market.
Yeah.
In the German language, from what I understood from what he was saying, it's I either went to the market, past tense, or I go to market. That could be present or future.
Yeah.
Right. So by using the way that I use songwriting is I use it to alchemize a young person's belief systems and experiences and traumas and things. So instead of looking at it as a case of I'm currently going through this and I want to be here, I empower young people to turn that around and look at the future self and say, okay, Bob, this is actually how, you know, you're feeling better. You're taking control of yourself. So it's very much future tense based, as opposed to wallowing in the self-pity that therapy often focuses on.
Yeah. And that's another thing that, depending what people may already study or how indulged they are in spiritual awareness, that time is really simultaneous. But we can help, like we can kind of trick our brain and our nervous system with this awareness and talk about like being what we see ourselves or have a desire or dream about becoming in the future, but like live that now. And I can see that with the songwriting, how that may activate like that, the connections to the brain in a different way than just sit and talk it through or think it through, but use it in a creative way. That's beautiful. So how would
That's exactly what I did with the song with Mary. It's exactly what I did with the song with Mary Williamson, you know, Living Proof was, you know, it was, I might not even feel that way at the time, but I knew that I was going to be feeling that way. You know, we were going into this unknown election here, didn't know about the pandemic back then, but you know, there was a lot going on. But I wanted to speak into existence that I am living proof that love wins. When I wrote Be Brave, I wrote into existence, I sing into existence. The strongest, happier days, it's okay, be brave. I am brave enough to this. Anything that comes my way, I will be brave enough.
Yeah.
So it seems complicated, it seems overwhelming, but it's really simplistic. And it's just a bit of a mind shift that a lot of young people struggle with. Sorry, back to you.
So no, that's great. So have you, and I remember that song, and I know I think you have it up on YouTube, so you can Google it there, like Living Proof is the title. Yeah, I love that. So if a parent, like if kids have never done this before, can you just start from scratch? No experience. Yeah. How do you find that parents best approach their teenagers if they want to suggest this or give this as an opportunity to do this?
What do you mean? Like how can they get involved?
If a parent wants to go and talk to their teen about, you know what, I thought this might be something for you. And the teen, like, do you know the parents that have had success in presenting this to their teenagers? Is there anything you recommend them to say or share or, because I mean, these are but you want to work with the teenagers, right? So how do they best talk? How do they best open up this conversation with their teens?
There's a couple of things they can do. That is either one, they can get my book, which I wrote called Songwriting for Teenagers.
And we will share that. Just want to say that,
And then the parents can apply some of my own teaching practices into their own interactive relationship with the children. If the kids are like, nope, you're not cool enough, mom, then they're like, okay, well, I can, refer you on to energy, or we can get on a discovery call together and have a chat. I'm totally open to have a one-on-one with a teenager, or to have two-on-one with both teenager and parent, or three-on-one. Or if they just want to share my music with the kids, and if the kids respond well, then there's an opportunity for the parents to be like, okay, well, how would you like to work with her?
Yeah.
And I should preface that all of my music is kid friendly. Word in my entire catalog.
Oh, you froze up, Emma. I think you're back. Oh,
sorry.
You're back. Yeah, no, that's good. So we will for sure, we will share the moment when the video or when the recording of this conversation